Are you a natural-born writer?
I don't know what a natural-born writer is. I felt like I wanted to write for a long time when I was maybe even in middle school and then high school. I didn't know if I could be a writer, but my first inkling that I had talent as a writer was I went to a summer school at Andover Academy in Massachusetts. I was a public school kid all the way, but my parents sent me to this fancy private school for a summer program, and everybody had to take English composition classes. So the teacher of my particular English composition class had us write our own poetry and stories. And this guy said, you know, you're a writer, you should keep doing this. And I just listened to that, and little by little, it started to come out.
Did you go home that day and proclaim to your parents?
No.
That you were a writer?
Not.
Oh, okay.
No. It was like 1969, and I was more interested in going to Woodstock and doing things like that.
Right. Abby Hoffman and things like that.
No, the girls. It's all about the girls.
Right, okay. Forget about the protests, yeah. What is better, the burning desire to create or the burning desire to be a star?
Oh, create. The burning desire to create is for me, the concept of being a star, just to hear you say that, it just makes me ill. I mean, if you become a star, that's great. That's great. But for me personally, I mean, I know maybe for an actor, they have that burning desire to be a star, and it makes them a star, and it makes them do their best work. But for me, it always starts with the work. So the burning desire to create, but also the burning desire to create something worthy. Not just anything, something that you can, at the end of the day, say, yeah, that's good.
Well, I was going to your website, as you have a new book out, so doing research for your new book, which
yes.
I think just came out,
yes.
Is that right?
It's called The Way We Work.
Oh, nice, okay.
On the job in Hollywood.
And it's tales from TV writers?
Tales, not only from TV writers, it started out as a book that would be about TV writers telling their stories, because when you run writers' rooms, when you work in writers' rooms, and I did this for over 20 years, every single writer has many stories to tell about development hell, production hell, casting hell. There are so many kinds of hells that writers have to deal with. And that, getting those stories and archiving them was the original motivation for this book. And then it got beyond writers. I wanted to include people from every job in the business. So there's above the line people, there's below the line people, and it's a really comprehensive overview of what it's like to work in Hollywood.
We have a quote from Robert Towne that you put with a little picture,
right.
And it just said something like, the writer is the one that, until they finish what they do, sort of they're the bleep a-hole that, until they finish what they do, no one else has a job.
No one else has a job, that's right. So, Towne's point of view, as he states in the book, is that everybody, is waiting for the writer to get his work done, so they can be hired and they can have a job. So, and what's more than that, that's another way of saying, and this is no secret, everybody knows this, that it all starts with the script. If you don't have a script, not only can nobody be hired, but you have no work, you can't shoot anything. And it's also very important to have a good script, the best you can offer these actors and directors, because anybody can put words on paper, but to make them sing and to make a piece of work that's original obviously requires a lot of work.
Well, that being said, so people are waiting for the writer to finish their work, but then once the work's finished, the writer can sometimes be the least important, unfortunately, in the eyes of the production?
Well, in film, this has been the case since Hollywood began, that the writer was totally dispensable. This is why these famous novelists came out, like Raymond Chandler, whoever, they came out to Hollywood to work in the movies to make some money. But their scripts were, rewritten by other people, and when it was all over, it was unrecognizable to them, and they just went back to writing novels because that was really their work. And that has been magnified times 100 today. So, you'll see maybe 6 credited writers on a finished screenplay, and there will have been 20 writers actually hired, because the only ones who get the credits are the ones who, there's an arbitration now for every film that has multiple writers. So the Writers Guild arbitrates every single feature film, and they read all 20 drafts written by all 20 writers, and they decide which of those 20 writers will get credit. It could be 2 writers. If there's 20 writers, it's going to be at least 2 that get credit. It could be 2, it could be 6, it'll never be 20, because they have the limit of how many that you can credit. But that's life in feature film writing. TV is different. TV is different. And up until not that long ago, the writer was king. And if you were a writer, creator, executive producer, you had a whole lot of power. And people went to you as the go-to voice of the show. Now we have so many layers on top of the writers, people who do nothing. Now there are some executives that are helpful and involved, but there's so many layers now built into the process. I'll give you an example. You want to do a show with an actor. An actor has managers. He has 3 managers. There is a production company that the actor may have a deal with. And then there's the studio, and then there's the network. So all of these people, the managers get credit as producers. They get credit, not only do they get credit as producers, they get a per show episodic fee for doing what? For being the manager of the star. And then there is a production company, it may be their production company, and they'll take a chunk. And then the studio will take a chunk, and then the network. And I've left out one other entity that takes a chunk, and it's the source of what's going on in Hollywood today, and that is the big agencies and their packaging fees. And that's what this whole writers versus agents battle is about right now. That the agencies take these huge chunks of the budget for themselves, so the show budgets are lower and writers can't afford to hire some of the writers they may want, because the agencies are keeping the budgets lower so they can take their chunk. So that's my pitch for the writers.